everyone, this is Anna-Karin from Layers of Ink, and today I have a fun stamping tutorial to share with you for this textured double embossed background. And I used this circle doodle background stamp by Simon Says Stamp, and you will also need some clear embossing ink and white embossing powder, also by Simon Says Stamp, as well as Ranger's blueberry speckle embossing powder and their mixed media lime powder. You can also use other powders. And I also used watercolor paper. So let's start. First you need to ink up the circle doodle background with clear embossing ink. Since we're stamping without a block but just using the background stamp, it's easier to just place it like this face up and then ink it. And then I will stamp it on the watercolor paper but without using a block. I'm not aiming for perfect stamping here. And I press the stamp a little harder than I would normally do because I actually want some stray embossing powder, since that adds to the effect. You can use a block too if you want to, but this is quick and easy. I started embossing with the lime mixed media powder from Ranger. It's made up of different powders with some chunkier bits in there, as you can see here. It's a lot of fun to use. I really like the mixed media powders. So we're just going to pour that back into the jar. Next we're going to use the blueberry speckle powder, which has various powders inside and also bits of glitter. And speaking about blueberries, I've been picking so much blueberries lately in the forest, and you'll have to excuse my blueberry stained fingers and nails. We just love those fresh blueberries at home, and the freezer is full too. If you want to, you can of course use other colors embossing powder. This will look good with a metallic powder too, maybe gold or a mix of gold and silver. And well, any other powder you can think of really. I actually got a bit too little embossing ink there in the corner, as you could see. And I have now melted that powder off camera because I don't have an electric cord where I was recording this video. And I'm now going to line up the stamp to see what direction it needs to be stamped in. And then you'll just ink it up again with a clear powder. Okay, that's it. So the trick now is that you want to line it up, but you don't want to line it up perfectly. You want to offset the lines a little bit, so you know the white lines don't cover the colored ones. In fact, I lined it up too well here, and you'll see on the background I used for my blog that that background actually became a bit better than this one. But as I said earlier, this is an unpredictable technique, so you don't know exactly what you're going to get, and it was unusual to manage to line the stamp up this well without using a stamp positioner or stamp platform. And it's one of the fun things with this technique, is that it is a bit unpredictable. You'll get a different result every time you try to do this. And now we're going to pour some white embossing powder on here, covering the whole thing. I used white embossing powder by Simon Says Stamp. You can also use a different color. It doesn't have to be white. It'll look cool in black, for instance, as well, or maybe a metallic. So I've now melted the powder off camera, and you always need to be very careful when melting embossing powder and never touch the hot powder before it has cooled down completely. And now I'm taking out some distress inks, and you can pick any colors. I used Mowed Lawn, so I'm smearing them like this on my non-stick craft sheet. and Mermaid Lagoon. And then a little hickory smoke. And finally ground espresso. Mist them with water. I always like this look when you start seeing those squares of color. And now press the paper into that ink. And here we have our result. Now you can go on and let it dry and redo the inking to get darker colors and more texture. But for this one I let it be like this. For my first paper I added more ink. As you can see, it's a bit darker and has more splotches. Here you can also see that the first example that I did, which you see here, has more of a offset pattern between the white and the colored embossing, so they don't overlap so exactly as they did on the example I did in the video. So this gives almost a 3D shadow effect. Here they are side by side. So the one that I did in the video has a bit more of a cleaner look. It will also look great as a background for a card or a tag or in an art journal. You can find more photos and details on my blog Layers of Ink, and there is also a full supply list there. Thank you so much for watching today and happy crafting. Bye!